Good evening. Good evening, John. I'm, I'm Martha Bergmark, and I'm very privileged to be the founding president of the Mississippi Center for Justice. Thank you for joining us this evening, and it's wonderful to see so many friends, both old and new, as we honor Judge James Robertson and celebrate our 10th anniversary and the launch of the New Roots Credit Partnership. You know, the Center's best days are ahead of us, but I ask for your indulgence while I reflect for just a moment on the history we've had so far. I think back to those early days in Jackson in the little house on North Congress Street. We held our ribbon cutting there on June 12, 2003, the 40th anniversary of Medgar Evers' murder, and we dedicated ourselves to the unfinished business of his heroic mission. It is safe to say that few of our friends could have imagined that we would be here and be where we are 10 years later. Most importantly, that we could become one of our state's, and indeed our nation's, most effective social change organizations. Today, with a budget of $4 million and a staff of 35 professionals working in 3 offices across the state, the Center is a powerful force for change. It's a key advocate, broker, convener, and communicator in statewide policy campaigns to increase access to health care, education, affordable housing, and economic security for low-income families and communities of color. Just consider that what has been accomplished in just the past 3 years of our history. A landmark settlement with HUD that directed $172 million to 6,000 Katrina-damaged households and put an end to the state's callous attempt to exclude low-income, primarily African-American residents from the benefits of Hurricane Katrina recovery programs. Development and implementation of a 4-state program to provide free legal services to low-income victims of the BP oil disaster. To date, this program has provided services to more than 10,000 claimants for lost wages and income. Our collective experiences with Katrina and BP have led us to develop a highly regarded first response team whose hands-on legal assistance has provided services across the Gulf Coast states, and more recently in New Jersey and New York in the aftermath of Superstorm Sandy. A statewide legal services program that fields 6 full-time attorneys to provide representation to homeowners in mortgage foreclosure matters as a result of the National Mortgage Foreclosure Settlement. After years of dreaming and planning, we opened an office in the Mississippi Delta that's working to improve the quality of the region's failing public schools and expanding health care to its poorest residents. Settlement of federal litigation that restored housing rights to several hundred poverty-level residents of the Delta who were subjected to deplorable housing conditions as a result of the illegal actions of a corrupt public housing director. And just last month, through an exciting partnership with the University of Mississippi Medical Center, the Mississippi Department of Health, and others, the Center has established the first ever medical legal partnership in Mississippi. I know this is happening around the country, but we're with the program now. And it's focused on providing legal assistance to people living with HIV/AIDS. So it was a particular challenge to establish that kind of partnership for that reason. While we're proud of our accomplishments, we are reminded every day of the human suffering that continues to plague our state and our responsibility to combat that suffering. And that's why we're so excited about New Roots Credit Partnership. It's going to enable tens of thousands of Mississippians to enter the economic mainstream. But you know, the campaign actually also represents a turning point in our thinking about what it takes to produce lasting change. As you know, Mississippi is a very conservative state. The policy environment is generally inhospitable to our issues. The Center's 10-year struggle for enforcement of civil rights laws and for government programs and services to meet human needs cuts against the grain of a defiantly unreconstructed swath of our citizenry. But New Roots is different. We're not fighting the political establishment. We're not seeking government help. The campaign has no enemy. Instead, we're mobilizing banks, credit unions, businesses big and small, municipalities, and the faith-based community to stand with us and create a service that will do good for the community and our partners' bottom line through increased profits and worker productivity. The model is in an early stage of development, and it doesn't mean we're abandoning our other tools in our toolbox of advocacy, but it holds out the hope of creating alliances that can be a force for good in other contexts and begin to reshape the political culture of Mississippi and other states across the country. But you know, as gratified as we may feel about how far we've come in the past 10 years, we are also well aware that, like Isaac Newton, if we have seen farther, it's because we stand on the shoulders of giants. And tonight we honor one such giant. So with that, let me turn the program over to our wonderful board member, Washington luminary, and best of all, my good friend, Judith Lichtman.